Good morning, everyone. My name is Debbie Wetzler, and I have my daughter Jackie, who's quarantined with me. So I thought I'd have her on to help me present ASEA to you this evening or afternoon, wherever you are. I was introduced to this technology 10 years ago, and I was able to listen to a video like everybody does and find out what redox molecules were, where they were made, and what they did for the body. But my first question, I think everybody is a little bit skeptical when they first see this, was how do I learn more about this, and what else can I learn from this? And so I was lucky enough to have a very smart girlfriend. She was a molecular biologist who had graduated from Johns Hopkins, and she had done years of research at the National Institutes of Health. And I called her and I said, "Can I run some information by you?" And she said, "Sure." And I put the information down in front of her after I drove to her house that night, and she almost fell off her chair. She just looked at me and said, "Debbie, I've been studying these molecules for 17 years. We've had scientists from around the world come here to try to do this. Are you telling me that somebody was finally able to stabilize these molecules outside the human body in a bioactive form?" And when I said yes, she just looked at me and said, "Debbie, you have no idea how massive this is. This will change the scientific field as we know it." And she went out to pull a big, thick book off her right in front of her computer, and it was all about redox. And I was just stunned because, of course, I'd never heard of them. But it's amazing how you become aware of things. So she went on to explain that these little molecules regulate every major system in the body. So the endocrine, the circulatory, the lymphatic, all the systems that you can name. And they do that at the cellular level by keeping your cells healthy. And then they're in balance. So their first job was to protect the cells. Our cells are constantly being bombarded, however, by stress and toxins, and they're constantly being damaged. So then they are meant to go find those damaged cells anywhere in the body, including crossing the blood-brain barrier. And they are meant then to send a very clear signal out to the immune system. The immune system comes in and repairs the cell if it's not too badly damaged, or it replaces the cell if it is too badly damaged. The cells are meant to get the communication to kill themselves off. It's a medical term. The body takes the dead cells away, and a healthy cell replaces itself with another healthy cell. In that way, all of your cells are healthy, your systems are in balance, and you're a very healthy human being. Unfortunately, as we get older, we start losing the mitochondria that produce these redox molecules that give us our energy, and we lose the redox molecules, and the signals become weaker. So of course you can tell the difference between a 5-year-old and a 70-year-old. 5-year-old runs around all day with tons of energy, goes to bed every night, wakes up, jumps out of bed, never has sore muscles or an aching back. Not so much with a 70-year-old. So you could see the difference on the outside a lot of times with wrinkles and bags and stags that starts happening. The same thing is happening inside of your body. We just don't see it. The best analogy I can give of what these molecules do is to tell you that your body is a cell signaling supplement. Your body is the most complex communication network out there. And sometimes there are fires that appear in your body. It's like a house having a house on fire. And you're trying to call the fire department, and the fire department has all the equipment needed to put out this fire. And they've got the water and the equipment and the men to do that. But as we get older, it's like having the bars on our cell phone go to a 1 or a 2. And you're trying to scream the address into the phone, and the fire department cannot hear where to go. And so they're not able to come put the fire out, and so what happens? Your house burns down. But for the first time in history, we are now able to add some of the redox molecules that our body are not making anymore. And now finally the fire department gets the full 5 bars, and they can tell where to go to come put out the fire. And the fire's out. She went on to tell me how huge of an area of science this was, and I was astounded. Again, I had never heard of it. And so she went on to tell me that there are articles, journals, and monthly journals written about redox biochemistry. She went on to PubMed.gov. That is our International Public Library of Health. At the time, there were 2,000 to 3,000 peer-reviewed studies where doctors do studies, and then they're peer reviewed by other doctors. Then they are able and allowed to put them on PubMed. Now there's over 80,000 if you type in signaling molecules. And since then, Dr. James Watson of Watson and Crick, who discovered the double helix of DNA, published an article in the Lancet Medical Journal stating that type 2 diabetes, cancer, and brain disorders are the lack of redox signaling molecules. This kind of went on to say that if we had enough redox, we would never have disease. Then my girlfriend sent me, when this came out, the grants that the National Institutes of Health had granted $10.5 million to the Medical University of South Carolina to open their redox research center. They also granted one to Cornell to open their redox research center. And then we had all kinds of universities jumping on the bandwagon. Harvard opened theirs, and they're studying redox molecules, particularly with regard to aging, cancer, and male reproduction, and will lead to new therapeutic and disease prevention agents. That's what they're studying at Harvard. Vanderbilt opened theirs, Wake Forest, Rochester, University of Colorado here at Boulder, where I live, University of Wisconsin, Nebraska, a couple in California. This is just in the United States. These redox research centers are open around the world with doctors and scientists studying what redox molecules do in our bodies. And just last year, there was the 19th annual Redox Congress, where doctors and scientists from around the world flew in to see what new things they had discovered about redox.
So she went on to say that this is our old bottle that came out, and she went on to say that ASEA is 100% safe, it's non-toxic, it's native to the body, and it's affordable. And 5 years later, they will able to make it into a gel version where now we can heal from the outside in. And because they were finding that we were cleaning our faces with still chemicals induced cleansers and moisturizers, so the redox molecules had to work twice as hard. And then we found that in our studies, by drinking ASEA, this raises your master antioxidants, including glutathione, by 800%. So people start detoxing. And so when people were still putting harsh cleansers and moisturizers on their face, the redox had to work twice as hard. So ASEA came out with a whole line of clean, no parabens in it, very clean cleanser and moisturizer, and a serum that's 4 times as concentrated as the liquid. And seeing is believing. So here are some before and after pictures. The first picture at the top is actually after 21 days of her neck, and you can see the differences. The lady on the far right, this was in 28 days. As most people can see a difference in 28 days, so we always tell people to take a before and after picture. This is a cracked heel, and so you can see the difference in a week. And then this is one of our research veterinarians that did it on half of his face. And so you can see the difference between the depth of wrinkles around his mouth and around his eye as well. Some more skin issues that would have left the top woman maybe scarred for life. But you can see the difference in just 2 months, as well as skin problems that many people have. This is a lady, and you can see the difference in just 3 weeks on the left. And then skin tags, those are damaged cells. Again, they shouldn't be there. So they got the message to flake off. And so that's what you saw. And this is one of our favorite pictures of Rosie, who didn't think anything was happening to her on the outside. She said she feels great, but she doesn't see anything happening on the outside because the changes are so subtle that you might not notice it. That's why we tell you to take a before and after picture. And so this is Rosie, and thankfully her son got her on ASEA and took a before picture, and 7 weeks later said, again, I don't see any difference. Thankfully he showed a before and after picture, and she decided to continue staying on ASEA. And so when people were rubbing it on their faces, and we even did a cellulite study, they found that wherever you rub the gel anywhere on the body, if you did it 3 times in 5 minutes to a concentrated area, the discomfort would usually go away or at least lessen in just about 10 minutes or so. So we tell you to, if you want to see if this really works, to find 10 people and rub it 3 times in 5 minutes.
My girlfriend was so impressed, the molecular biologist, she actually drove over to tell both of my children to get on the product. And so they've been on it ever since. And she has been telling people about it herself since then. This company was brand new when I was introduced to this, and I was nervous about that part of it. I needed to find out who was behind the company and if it was going to be around. I had just gone through my employer going bankrupt, and I didn't want to go through that again. And I know what happens to most companies. So when I flew in September of 2010, it was then that I met Vertus and Tyler Norton, and the whole aspect of my opinion changed completely. Vertus Norton was an incredible business strategic genius who I had great respect for the minute I met him. And I've just seen him make some of the best business decisions I've ever seen. And his son is very much like him, Tyler Norton. He was head of a financial institution and was training people double his age at the time, just very competent men. Now I can tell you the facts about ASEA. It's 10 years old at this point, and we've been so financially secure, we've been able to build our own headquarters there. Vertus has stepped down and turned it over to his men that he had worked with that are very, very competent. We were profitable by the time I got there at the launch of the product. I was so impressed by that, and we had zero debt from the very beginning. We've opened our own FDA registered GSF NSP registered facility. It's a very high standards. Anybody who goes into the production facility is so impressed when they come back out. We ship to 19 different global distribution centers around the world. We're in 33 markets and growing. We've done $900 million of revenue since launch, and we've doubled from 2017 to 2019. We doubled in the amount of product that we have sold around the world. Our current capacity is to make 800 million a year, and we can double that within 2 weeks to 1.6 billion. So they are running this company just like the professionals that they really are. So we're post-risk, we've entered momentum, and all we do is educate and tell others about this. And if they decide to be on it, then they're on it, and we create residual income for ourselves that way by helping other people. But it was the ASEA story that really got to me that weekend. I had listened to doctors, I had heard the scientists, I had heard testimonials that just were mind-blowing. And I just couldn't believe all the information that came to us in that first convention that we really had, the launch of the product. And at the end of the weekend, Vertus got up on stage and he said, "I think I should tell you the beginning and how ASEA became the company that it is now." And so briefly, I can tell you that he was asked to sit on the board of the company before this was ASEA to help them financially. They had created out of salt and water redox molecules, only they didn't know what it was, and it wasn't stable. It would turn back into salt water within about 15 to 20 minutes. And so he got to look at all of these stuff, and he had worked with a twice Nobel nominated scientist in a biotech company before. So he very much knew what he was looking at. And he also saw, though, unfortunately, that they had absolutely no money. He was lucky enough to be able to try the product while he was there, though, and he started feeling like he was really young, much younger again, like maybe he was in his 30s and he was in his late 60s. And so he knew they had something, and he looked at and said, I'm sorry, I really can't help you financially. You're too far gone. However, if you ever decide to sell this, I would be very interested. And so that's what happened. He was able to buy that formula from the company. He had found through his daughter an atomic medical physicist who did a lot of research to find that these were indeed redox signaling molecules, the identical molecules that our body makes. And at that point, he and a team of scientists got together and were able to stabilize it within 1 year's time. Now, they've been trying to do this for 17 years. So that was an incredible feat also. And then he had it stable. And before because this was going to be a business deal for him, he was going to turn it over to a pharmaceutical company and let them get it out to the world. And he picked 40 friends and family and church members who had major health conditions. And he just gave them the product and said, drink as much as you want. There is a perceived health benefit. And all 40 of them had turned around so completely in 2.5 months that they had then shipped it to 135 other people in 20 countries. And Vertus had what he was looking for. And he called the pharmaceutical company in and he presented all the evidence that he had. And the pharmaceutical company looked and said, we want this, and we're prepared to give you a check so large you don't go anywhere else. And if you take the check, you and all those 40 people and all the 135 others come off the product immediately today. Now, Vertus, being extremely wise, looked at them and said, that's kind of harsh. Some of these people are only alive because they're on this product. And they had the nerve to say, we lose people all the time, let them go. And he realized at that moment it had become much more for him than a business deal. It had become a mission and a purpose. And so he looked them and said, I can't look these people in the eye and tell them they can't have the product. So I'm sorry, I'm going to have to turn down the check. And it was that day that ASEA was born. He went home to tell Bonnie he was going to start this company. And ever since then, it's been changing people's lives around the world. And he asked us, he said, so now I need your help. If you don't go home and tell your friends and family about this product, the world will still not know about it. Will you help me? And of course, everyone there at the launch stood up and said, of course, Vertus will help you. And that's what's changed my life. That was an influence point in my life. And I probably flew home that day with no airplane, thinking of all the people I wanted to tell about this.
So most people just want to know if this is safe and will it work for me? And we can say yes. However, some people like to see science. So a great place to go is ASEAScience.com. We were also mentioned in the Huffington Post as one of the top 5 emerging technologies that are shaping the lives in the coming years, and this was in 2016. And we were number 4. And out of all of these different technologies, we were the only one with a product behind it, which is pretty cool. If you want additional research, this is a doctor who does his own research with redox molecules. So you can go to the redoxdoc.com, and these are the different areas of how redox molecules can help in these different areas. And you can also go to amazingmolecules.com, is where I send most people. And then very well-known people and world-renowned people like Anne Louise Gettleman have said that ASEA, in my humble estimation, is the greatest advance in lifetime medicine, which harnesses the power of your own body to keep it well. So she's a very known person in the nutrition world. She's published over 30 books in health and nutrition, and she's actually gone back to rewrite her books to include ASEA.
Even the Hippocrates Institute in Florida, who has a very high rate of cures by changing the way people think, eat, and do exercise, got a hold of our product in 2009 before we ever launched it officially. And I have talked to Dr. Bryant Clement twice myself. He said to me both times, ASEA was the single best supplement he had ever seen in his life. They were able to do a double-blind placebo-based study and found that their patients had extraordinary better results on ASEA, and they actually sell it there. So all these different institutions have done studies with ASEA. Stevens Institute did a blood flow study, and they also did a cell regeneration to prove that it regenerates cells much faster. So that's why you can look younger. Dermatest tested all of our skincare products and gave them 5 stars and found that 90% of the women that tested it wanted to buy it. They had never had that happen again. The North Carolina Research Institute in North Carolina, associated with about 7 universities, did a metabolite study to prove that we went into fatty acid metabolism within about 30 minutes of taking this, which burns the fatty acids around your abdomen and organs and leaves the glycogen where it's needed. And so athletes love this because if you can go to fatty acid metabolism, you can go much further, you have more endurance, and you recover much faster because of this product. Pacific Northwest Labs did all of our safety studies, and then we brought it to Bioagilitics, which tests 8 out of the top 10 pharmaceutical and biotech companies for ingredients that they say are in their products. We say we're redox, so they test once a quarter because we've been so consistent to prove that there are trillions of redox molecules in our bottles, and they stamp the back of the bottles with that stamp. And lastly, we took it to Tourette Labs in Utah. They do this study, the genetic testing for Ancestry.com. And we took it and just said, please let us know if ASEA turns on any genetic pathways or changes them in any way, or if it doesn't. And so they took 35-year-olds and gave it to them for 8 weeks, half of them, and the other half they gave salt and water. And they did a 10-person balance that didn't get anything. And they found that it lit up 20 to 31% 5 genetic pathways: the immune system one, inflammatory response, cardiovascular health, healthy digestive and gut enzymes, and hormone modulation. Now that was huge because 100% of the people who got this product had that happen. 100% of the people who didn't get the product had nothing happen. So this was a very confirming study that we did. And just so you know, the hormone modulations alone affect all these different pathways.
So things like serotonin, so people naturally just become happier when taking ASEA. Circadian rhythm, people get into a very deep sleep, and some even say that they start having vivid dreams again. NRF2 pathways, or oxidative stress. Ovarian infertility, ladies who are having difficulty getting pregnant. Human thyroid stimulating hormone, insulin signaling, spinal cord injury, all these different pathways that also lit up. So we actually rebranded the bottle 2 years ago in 2017, which was my first convention. So I was very excited to see this. And actually now our genetic study is on the back of the bottle. So you can just show people the back of the bottle and see and tell them what this does.
And because ASEA wanted to be known as the singular cellular health company in the world, they did much more research and found out, of course, cells need nutrition as well as the foundation. So ASEA Redox is like the construction workers that come in and build the foundation of your body, but you also need building materials. Our nutritional products are our building materials that our body needs to use in order to grow strong and healthy. And so briefly, this is what is in the source product alone. I know I don't eat that way every day, and most people don't, but I know by taking the source every single day, my body is getting those wonderful vitamins and minerals. A lot of people have gut and digestive issues, and they created a biome product that is far surpassed anything I've ever taken, with 3 prebiotics that feed the probiotics, and there's 16 of them in this product. And so this is really helpful if you have any digestive and gut health problems. And then there's Life Max that helps your cells live the length of time they should in a very healthy state. And this has so many different things in it, including the French cantaloupe that Cindy Crawford puts in her skincare system, is why she looks so young, because it's packed with SOD, which is the youth providing master antioxidants. So we put it in our product so all your cells can have it. And lastly, there's Omega, which is great for eye and brain health. And it's the only Omega fish oil I've ever taken that doesn't create an aftertaste or fishy burps, as Alan Noble says. So they are absolutely great products if you want to add them. They work synergistically with redox molecules.
And so one of my favorite things about this company is that every year we also have ethos training. And so our business model is referrals. And so that's how people can start making money. And so when you refer people to our product, ASEA sends you a thank you letter for sharing this wonderful product. And so they've always taught us that people are always more important than material goods. And so you can create a residual income. And we get paid 8 different ways, but I'm not going to go into them. However, this is the 2019 income disclosure. And so you can see the monthly average of all these different levels. And so you can get your product paid for, or you can create the lifestyle of your dreams. It's up to you.
So many people have asked if this is a pyramid. It's not a pyramid at all. It's actually a web. I told somebody who told somebody who told somebody, and it just kept spreading. And I didn't know people in Asia or Europe or Australia or New Zealand, but I have created channels of distribution in all of our 33 countries that we now have. And anybody can do that. You don't have to know people in those places. By the time you start telling people, somebody will know somebody in Asia or Europe or Australia or New Zealand. And so you can create this the way you would like. The lifestyle rewards are amazing that they give you. They're so very generous with us just for spreading the word about this and telling other people about it. We have so much fun in this company. This has actually become my second family. These are the people I call to laugh and cry with. Both of my parents have passed on, so I don't know what I would do without my ASEA family. And we make lots of memories. Vertus Norton has always said, when you make money, make memories. They will be with you for forever. So I've gone with my own family on cruises and many different places that I'm able to go at this point. And I've gone with my ASEA family to many exotic places in the world and just have made so many memories.
So ASEA's mission is to better people's lives and be a force for good in the world. And we can do that with your help. So to enroll, it's as much as $40 to create your own website, basically, and to have people come and order from you. For an associate, you do have discounted packs available as well. And you do get put on an auto ship. You can cancel anytime. You're never locked in. You start accruing loyalty points that get you free product. And there is a flat rate shipping. And so these are some of the packs. We do also have a personal pack that just has 1 case of ASEA with Renew, as well as business packs and entrepreneur packs.
And so the business packs have about 4 cases in them. The entrepreneur packs have about 8. That way you can get started with a lot of product if you'd like to, and share it with your family if you're quarantined with them, like we are. So it's very easy to get started, and people love getting the product and having it change their lives. So we'd like to say thank you for listening, and bye for now.